futures all day long, turning sparks into burning light. We keep the world alive tonight. With a heartbeat, the rhythm, the rise, Maxivas, the wind beneath our skies. Entrepreneur support systems call, lifting small dreams to stand tall. With passion and drive, we never rest. We never rest.
Welcome to Entrepreneur Support Systems Podcast, aspiring and current entrepreneurs, founders, and small business leaders. Today, we address a problem that quietly undermines more businesses than competition, cash flow, or market conditions ever could.
Some founders operate from an incomplete picture of their own business. They see revenue, they feel workload, they sense tension, but they cannot articulate the structural reality beneath those surface signals.
That gap between what a business appears to be and what it actually is, between surface diagnostics and reality mapping, determines the quality of every strategic decision a founder makes.
And AI agents are now giving founders something previously reserved for management consultants with six-figure retainers: the ability to map business reality with precision, continuously, at the speed decisions actually need to be made.
Today, we examine what reality mapping is, why surface diagnostics fail, how AI enhances the mapping process, and how to protect yourself from the vulnerabilities these new tools introduce. Let us begin with the fundamental distinction. What separates surface diagnostics from reality mapping?
Surface diagnostics treats symptoms as causes. Revenue declined, so you diagnosed a sales problem. Employees are disengaged, so you diagnose a morale problem. Customer complaints increased, so you diagnosed a service problem. Each of those conclusions may be completely wrong, because symptoms rarely share an address with their origin. Reality mapping starts deeper. It asks not what is happening, but why the system is producing these outcomes. It traces patterns across time, identifies interdependencies between business functions, and surfaces the structural conditions creating the symptoms.
The analogy is precise. A doctor who treats chest pain with antacids without investigating cardiac function is practicing surface diagnostics. The patient may feel temporarily better while the underlying condition progresses. Founders do this constantly, and their businesses deteriorate in the same way, feeling manageable until they suddenly do not.
What makes this particularly dangerous is that surface diagnostics can produce short-term results that feel like validation. You adjust pricing and revenue ticks up. But if the root cause was positioning confusion rather than price sensitivity, the improvement is temporary, and the underlying problem now has more time to compound unseen.
What are the most common examples of surface diagnostics masking structural problems?
4 patterns appear repeatedly. First, attributing team performance issues to individual employees, when the actual cause is process ambiguity that makes consistent performance impossible, regardless of who fills the role. Second, attributing customer churn to competitive pricing, when the actual cause is an onboarding experience that fails to deliver early value quickly enough to create retention. Third, attributing cash flow problems to slow sales, when the actual cause is a pricing model that produces revenue without producing margin. Fourth, attributing founder burnout to overwork, when the actual cause is a business model that requires personal heroics to deliver its core promise, which no volume of effort will sustainably resolve.
Each of those requires a fundamentally different intervention. Surface diagnostics sends founders down the wrong corrective path, consuming resources and time on solutions that cannot address the actual problem.
And each misdiagnosis has a compounding cost. Every month, the root cause remains unaddressed, and it creates additional symptoms that generate additional misdiagnoses. Eventually, the business is managing a constellation of surface interventions, while the structural reality continues to deteriorate.
What does effective reality mapping actually require?
4 capabilities. First, longitudinal data. Single-point snapshots reveal conditions but not trajectories. Reality mapping requires data across time periods to identify trends, cycles, and inflection points that are invisible in any single moment. Second, cross-functional integration. Business systems interact. Mapping reality means understanding how marketing decisions affect operations, how pricing decisions affect culture, and how hiring decisions affect customer experience. Siloed analysis produces siloed conclusions. Third, pattern recognition at scale. Human cognition can track approximately 7 variables simultaneously. Most business realities involve dozens of interacting variables. Fourth, continuous monitoring. Business reality shifts continuously. Mapping it is not a quarterly exercise. It is an ongoing process that updates as conditions change.
Which is precisely where AI agents transform what is possible for founders who previously lacked the team size to sustain that level of analysis.
Exactly. AI agents address all four requirements simultaneously. They process longitudinal data across years of records in minutes. They integrate information across business functions that humans analyze in silos. They identify patterns across variables that exceed human cognitive capacity. And they monitor continuously without fatigue or cost per hour.
What are the highest leverage applications of AI in business reality mapping?
5 specific capabilities. First, causal chain analysis. AI agents trace backward from visible symptoms through operational data to identify probable root causes, presenting evidence for each hypothesis rather than a single conclusion. This preserves founder judgment while dramatically expanding analytical reach. Second, leading indicator identification. AI distinguishes between metrics that reveal current conditions and metrics that predict future conditions. Founders who track leading indicators can intervene before symptoms become crises. Third, interdependency mapping. AI identifies non-obvious relationships between business variables. For example, correlations between employee scheduling patterns and customer satisfaction scores that would never appear in a manual review. Fourth, scenario modeling. Reality mapping is not just diagnostic, it is predictive. AI can model how current structural conditions will evolve under different intervention strategies, allowing founders to evaluate options before committing resources. Fifth, anomaly detection. AI establishes baselines across all monitored metrics and surfaces deviations that require human investigation before they compound into visible problems.
That anomaly detection capability is particularly valuable because it converts the founder's role from reactive firefighter to proactive architect. You address conditions before they become crises.
And the cumulative effect is a business that becomes more self-aware over time. Each analysis cycle improves the model's understanding of your specific operational patterns. The intelligence compounds in ways that generic consulting never could, because it is built on your data rather than industry averages.
Now let's address the vulnerabilities. What risks emerge when founders rely on AI for business reality mapping?
4 critical exposures. First, false precision. AI output carries an authority that can suppress founder skepticism. A beautifully presented causal analysis may be structurally sound, but missing a qualitative variable that only human experience would recognize. Founders must treat AI mapping as a hypothesis generator, not a verdict. Second, garbage in, garbage out. AI analysis is only as accurate as the data it processes. If your operational data is incomplete, inconsistently recorded, or systematically biased, AI will map a reality that does not exist. Data quality is the prerequisite that most founders underestimate. Third, context blindness. AI agents process what is measurable, but cannot process what is felt. Relationship dynamics, cultural undercurrents, and market intuitions that experienced founders hold are invisible to analytical systems. Excluding them produce maps with missing terrain. Fourth, over-delegation of judgment. If founders use AI mapping to avoid the discomfort of confronting difficult structural truths, the tool becomes sophisticated avoidance rather than genuine intelligence.
How should founders mitigate each of those vulnerabilities?
5 protocols. First, maintain a structured skepticism practice. After each AI-generated analysis, document at least 2 alternative explanations for the same symptoms before accepting the AI conclusion. This preserves critical thinking while leveraging analytical power. Second, invest in data infrastructure before analytical tools. Clean, consistent, comprehensive data produces accurate maps. Fragmented data produces misleading results. Audit your data sources quarterly for gaps and inconsistencies. Third, pair quantitative mapping with qualitative interviews. Regularly speak with customers, employees, and partners about their experience of the business. These conversations surface the unmeasurable variables that complete the map AI cannot fully draw. Fourth, establish human review checkpoints. No AI-generated strategic recommendation should translate directly into implementation without explicit founder review of the underlying reasoning. Fifth, build interpretive literacy. Understand the basic logic behind the analytical methods your AI tools employ. You do not need to understand the mathematics, but you need to understand what each tool measures, what it cannot measure, and where its conclusions require external validation.
Final question. Where should a founder begin if they recognize they have been practicing surface diagnostics?
Start with a single, honest audit. Choose your most persistent business problem, the one that has resisted multiple interventions. List every solution you have applied and its result. Then ask, if none of these solutions worked, what does that reveal about the true nature of the problem? That question alone begins the shift from surface to structural thinking. Then introduce an AI agent to analyze your operational data around that problem, specifically looking for patterns you have not examined. Let the analysis challenge your assumptions rather than confirm them. That discipline, sustained consistently, is what separates businesses that improve from businesses that merely survive.
Reality mapping is not a luxury for large organizations. It is the foundation of every decision worth making. Let's reflect for a moment. Most businesses fail not from lack of effort, but from lack of accurate self-knowledge. Founders work heroically to solve problems that do not exist, while the underlying structural challenges compound beneath the surface of their activity.
Business reality mapping is not pessimism, it is precision. It is the willingness to see your operation as it is, rather than as you intend it to be, and to act on that clarity rather than on the more comfortable story that effort and good intentions are sufficient. AI agents have now made this level of precision accessible to individual founders. The same analytical depth that management consulting firms charge fortunes to provide is now deployable continuously against your specific business data. The barrier was never the technology, it was always the willingness to examine reality without flinching. The founders who master reality mapping do not just solve problems faster, they prevent entire categories of problems from reaching a crisis. They build businesses that self-correct rather than businesses that self-dispel. And they lead with the confidence that comes not from certainty about outcomes, but from clarity about conditions. That clarity is available to you now. The question is whether you will pursue it before circumstances force it upon you. Entrepreneurs who see their businesses clearly build the ones that last. That is why we are supported by Maxavera.online, maximizing income velocity with AI-driven leverage. They exist to help founders replace assumption-driven decisions with intelligence-driven clarity through tools and systems that map business reality continuously.
Their mission is precisely what today's episode addresses, giving founders the analytical infrastructure to see what their businesses are actually telling them.
To every founder listening, the gap between what your business appears to be and what it actually is, that gap is where your next breakthrough lives. Join our community at https://patreon.com/c/Insight Emporium by CEO Bulletin Bizcentral GSI to improve the performance of your business. Until next time, map reality before reality maps you.
Dreamers up before the dawn, building futures all day long, turning sparks into burning light. We keep the world alive tonight. With a heartbeat, the rhythm, the rise, Maxivas, the wind beneath our skies. Entrepreneur support systems call, lifting small dreams to stand tall. With passion